It's Monday, and you know what that means. Jersey First TV proudly brings to you the latest edition of Real Talk. And certainly, I am New Jersey's premier award winning journalist, Top 50 Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. And now more than ever, folks, I'll continue to be the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media because my level of honesty is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. That's right, folks. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Happy Monday to you all. Hopefully, you're having a wonderful start to the week. Folks, I can't say enough. Thank you so much for always sharing the episodes, for tuning in live every Monday, and of course, sharing Real Talk with Fernando Uribe on all of your social media platforms. Again, in case you haven't done it yet, what are you waiting for? Don't forget to like Real Talk with Fernando Uribe and Jersey First TV on Facebook, of course. Make sure you follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And certainly, I know you're always looking at YouTube. I know I am, whether it's for pro wrestling, podcast, music videos, whatever the case, whatever it is we're doing, usually on YouTube. Click the subscribe button, and you'll be automatically notified of all the great content brought to you by Jersey First TV. And of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download Jersey First and take all of our great content with you anywhere at any time. And ladies and gentlemen, I cannot say enough how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, folks. It's always Jersey First TV, educating and advocating for the great people of New Jersey. You can always check out brand new episodes of The Nader Narrative every Thursday, hosted by the amazing Elizabeth Nader, and brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap, hosted by AJ Malillo and Stephen Rimbolo, also premiere every Thursday and every Monday night. Check your local listings, of course, for start times. You can check out Real Talk with Fernando Uribe via Jersey First TV. Folks, you definitely want to stick around for final thoughts. I'm going to have a lot to say about a controversial DJ that was supposed to be participating in the upcoming Hoboken Arts and Crafts Festival. And thankfully, that contract was pulled. And folks, when we really think about it, it was a really, really good thing to make sure that DJ Rekka was not part of the festivities coming up on Sunday, May the 19th. But I'll tell you why. And maybe it's for the reasons you're really not thinking about. So you definitely want to tune in, folks, later for final thoughts. And of course, I also send you a reminder, ladies and gentlemen, about this Friday night, my annual event to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey and to raise awareness for Alzheimer's and dementia. Memories Matter 2024 emanates from the Lolita's Mexican Cantina, located on River Road in North Bergen, this Friday night, starting at 7 p.m. And we'll be going into the wee hours, folks, until 2 a.m. Again, all proceeds benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. I'll tell you more about all the festivities during this Friday night. Again, folks, all proceeds benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey, and together we can defeat Alzheimer's once and for all. All that and much more, folks, during Final Thoughts. You definitely want to stick around for that. But first, ladies and gentlemen, it is primary season, and of course, I'm always talking to the big candidates and, of course, the big names that dominate the headlines in New Jersey politics. And this week certainly is no exception. My guest tonight, live, and of course, I cannot say enough how happy I am to have him on here. He's a big fan of the show. He's a good friend of mine, folks. He is the distinguished U.S. representative out of the 8th Congressional District here in New Jersey, folks. He's Rob Menendez, joining us here live tonight on Real Talk. Representative, how are you?
Good, Fernando. How are you doing?
Good to see you on here. And folks, again, check him out on social media if you're looking to get involved with the Rob Menendez for Congress campaign. Again, check him out on social media, of course, on the website as well. Representative, good to see you here. Certainly a lot to talk about. Before we get to sort of some of the festivities I think that everyone's tuning in for when it comes to me, let's talk about policy. I'm a policy nerd, and, I've said this from the get-go when it comes to you, Rob. I mean, there are some things that you and I are not going to see eye to eye on philosophically, and of course, when it comes to policy. But one thing that we cannot deny is since getting elected, Rob, you've gotten to work. You've gone to D.C., you've rolled up your sleeves, okay? You've brought money back to the 8th Congressional District. Case in point, this past weekend, a grant coming back, I think over $1 million for Hudson County Community College. Other federal dollars have come back to the district due to your hard work. So again, it's a very tumultuous time for you for different reasons. We'll talk about that later. But there's no denying your work ethic, man. You've gotten to work, and I applaud you consistently because you've done the work that you said you were going to do when you ran in 2020. So let's talk about a lot of what your record reflects during your freshman time in the House of Representatives.
Yeah, well, first, thanks for having me. And listen, our view from the beginning was that we wanted to go to work for this district. You have 2 years to maximize the output that you can generate for all the residents who live here, and that's something I take seriously. So while we focus every single day on policy within that we can work on in Washington, in district we've run a robust constituent services program, solving over 1,500 cases for residents in the district. A lot of that is immigration related work. Over 40% of the people who live in the district were born outside the country. We brought money back to families, to small businesses, cut bureaucratic red tape. And so we're really proud of that work, to let people know that their federal representative is working for them every single day. We help them navigate state issues. My theory is that if someone calls and is asking for help, the answer is never no. You got to go to work. You got to figure out how we can be helpful. The federal government is set up to lead to dead ends, and we just don't accept that. Every challenge that we face, we try to get to a solution, no matter how hard it is, no matter how many times we have to reframe the issue. And that's what we've done here in district. In Washington, we have the privilege of sitting on the Transportation and Infrastructure Committee, so bringing significant federal dollars home for our district, over $11 billion, between $7 billion for the Gateway Program, $4 billion for the Northeast Corridor. We brought money back for our community colleges, as you mentioned, for most of our municipalities. We've tried to produce, and I think when people look at our track record, they're going to see a successful record of producing for this district, and that's something we're extremely proud of.
Folks, it's 6:07 here on the East Coast. If you just joined us live, click that share button, because sharing is caring. My guest tonight, he is a distinguished representative in the 8th Congressional District in the House of Representatives. Menendez joins us here on Real Talk. Representative, listen, I have to tell you, you brought up a very important word for me, again, as a policy, and that's infrastructure. We live in, again, the most densely populated area of the country. Never mind New Jersey, of the country. Obviously, we're, the 8th Congressional District is right across from Manhattan. We are seeing issues when it comes to congestion pricing, right? That's come under scrutiny. We're seeing scrutiny about New Jersey Transit. And let's sort of separate fact from fiction here, because at the end of the day, for example, as it pertains to, let's say, New Jersey Transit, that's more sort of a statewide problem. Not to say it's not a federal issue, but it seems like, well, what's Rob going to do about New Jersey Transit? What's Rob? Well, and I tell people all the time, chill, relax. It's more of a statewide issue. Certainly, Representative Menendez can raise some inquiries at the federal level, but again, let's separate really your responsibilities, though, Representative, when it comes to the federal level. Then when people have issues really about things that are happening statewide in New Jersey that, quite frankly, are out of your control.
Yeah, sure. So, listen, there's obviously jurisdictional issues on any given matter, but we don't let that stop us. So, for instance, you mentioned NJ Transit, and obviously people want to know how the state's going to come up with a dedicated source of funding. That's something the state is long overdue for the state to do, and they've clearly passed the buck down the road for too long. But there's still a federal nexus, and so we bring federal dollars home for NJ Transit all the time. We worked on a letter actually just today about a zero to low emissions bus grant and bus depot grant, a charging station that NJ Transit's applying for through federal programs. So we're helping them there. When we had the opportunity to have Secretary Buttigieg before the Transportation Infrastructure Committee, we asked him a series of questions about the funding of public transit agencies and what the role the federal government has to play as people shift largely, or not largely, but a larger segment of the workforce shifts to remote work. That means that there's less people on a regular fare basis using mass transit, NJ Transit's trains, buses, light rail, et cetera. So that means a decrease in revenue. And while we grapple with these changes in the short term, we have to figure out long term how we're going to continue to fund our public transit agencies, how the federal government can assist these public transit agencies to ensure a quality of service that every resident in this district deserves. That's something we work on every single day. And even when it is a state or local issue, we've used our voice. And so when there was a potential of the A&C bus line to shut down in Jersey City, largely going from west to east side, and a public bus operator, but it would have left a real gap in service. We reached out to our counterparts at NJ Transit and let them know how dire the situation would be if they didn't step in to fill some of those routes. So like I told you earlier, no matter what the challenge is, we never say no. We roll up our sleeves and figure out how best we can help address the situation. And as you mentioned, congestion pricing, I think is something that's really important because we're solutions oriented. And so a lot of people, especially in the state, have said no to congestion pricing. Our response has been, we understand the policy behind congestion pricing, but if New Jersey residents are going to pay for it, they should see a benefit from it, right? Because the revenue goes to the MTA. That's a New York agency. So how do we ensure that New Jersey residents get a piece of the pie that they're paying into, right? So the Port Authority by state agency, that goes into a pot of money that both states have access to. Congestion pricing being paid largely by New Jersey commuters or riders commuters, that goes into a New York pot. So I asked the question of how do we get that money back to New Jersey residents, whether we offset potentially adverse environmental consequences of people maybe driving into the district and then taking mass transit over, or my favorite idea is extending the 7 line into New Jersey. It's something that was discussed under the Bloomberg administration. It's within the MTA's jurisdiction. It would give people a single ride option into New York. It could take a lot of cars off the road, which the MTA has said is the purpose of congestion pricing. So we, even on challenging issues, we don't just say no. We try to figure out a way that to come up with a solution that will benefit the residents, benefit the people that live here, and make their lives better.
Oh, fair enough. Listen, well said. Representative, I have to ask you, I know that the term constituent services gets thrown around a lot, and whether it's at the local level, right? We have great mayors like mine in Union City with Brian Stack that is the best at it. We also see it with state senators, state assemblymen, and state assemblywomen. At the federal level, I know recently at Union City High School, I know there was a great a recent health fair. I know that you had a presence there with constituent services. What sort of helps you stand out from what you do with constituent services from some of your peers in the House of Representatives?
So we're fanatical about it. Delivering for our constituents is the best thing that we can possibly do. You mentioned Mayor Stack. He is the gold standard for constituent services. When we did our staff retreat here in the district, one of my priorities was getting the entire team to meet the mayor and meet his team in City Hall, so they could understand what the gold standard looks like in constituent services, because it's something that is absolutely important. To me, it's what's within your control, right? And constituent services is absolutely within our control. Whether you dedicate resources there, whether you dedicate your time, whatever it is, that's within your control to really do outreach to the community. So that's the first part. We go into each municipality. We've done mobile office hours where we set up for a couple of hours and go to where people are. We send out mailers to people in multiple languages to let them know that we want to be of assistance. We outline all the work that we can do for them, whether it's immigration related, whether it's bringing back money that's being withheld or held by the federal government, whether it's a veterans benefit issue. So we did a program in Bayonne to help with the PACT Act and make sure that veterans understand the benefits that come from it. We will be in a room of one person or a room of 100 people. It doesn't matter to us. We want to go to where people are, make sure they know what we can do for them, and make sure they always know they can call us. And that's the important thing. Again, I'll say this 1,000 times, but if they call us, that might be the only call that they can make to solve their issue, right? And if it's not a federal issue, at the end of the day, if we just say no, that doesn't help them, right? They may not have time in their day between either a shift at work or taking care of their children or taking care of their parents to make a second call, right? So what we can do is, if we can't take care of it directly, we can help connect them directly with the person or agency that can help them. And so that's why we collaborate with other agencies, with other cities and municipalities. We do these resource fairs where you have every sort of level of government there. So it's basically one-stop access to whatever people need. And you can point across the room and say, hey, we would love to help you. Let us walk you across to this agency so they can get you what you need. And that's been our approach.
Rob, Rob, right? I can call you Rob, right? We're friends, right?
Please.
Okay, cool. I just like to be proper on the show, though, Rob. But, I have to be honest here. One of the things that's made this race for you interesting, of course, I think it's what everyone's been waiting for me to sort of come out of my mouth, Rob, is, your opponent in this race, and the major opponent in this race. I know you've taken the high road a lot. I commend you for it. We're both Cubans, so it doesn't take much for us to, not have a filter. I know I don't have a filter. But Rob, one of the things that irritates me immensely about your opponent in this race, I think, has been the fact that he doesn't have a record to run on, but yet finds it necessary to, I guess, denigrate yours. And what really stands out for me about your opponent is, again, this is a guy who, talks about people being born on third base. Folks, newsflash. Rob's opponent didn't grow up poor. He wasn't struggling. Okay, let's keep it real here. Whether you want to call it privileged or comfortable, but Rob's opponent is very sanctimonious, and I've called him out on this show repeatedly. We've seen the city of Hoboken being run into the ground. And Rob, when I look at the record of your opponent, I'm not going to mention his name, but when I look at the atrocious record of your opponent, I think it's laughable the support that he's getting. When, again, as I said before, you can say whatever you want about Ron Menendez and his last name, and we'll get to that. But there's no denying that Rob has gone to Washington and he's done the work. He's rolled up his sleeves. He's brought federal dollars back. He's been attentive to his constituents. I find it really funny, Rob, that your opponent has gone for the lowest hanging fruit consistently throughout this entire campaign. And I got to commend you. You have taken the high road a hell of a lot more than I ever would have. Just explain the restraint I think necessary during this campaign, sir.
Yeah, well, listen, like I mentioned earlier, sort of one of my mottos is you have to focus on what's within your control. And, I had a conversation with Leader Jeffries a couple months ago, and I was just asking him, he's always so calm, composed, and what experiences he draws on that enables him to do that. And he said, I remember that no matter what arrives at my doorstep, how I respond is within my control. And if I exercise that control, then I feel powerful in a situation that I might otherwise not. And so, for us, I just focus on what's within my control and how I respond to it. I'm proud of our track record, and that's really what I want to talk about. And to cut through the noise of what anyone else is trying to put out there to confuse voters, I want to talk about the track record of service to this district, because I think that's ultimately what voters want to hear about. So for me, I stay focused on the task at hand. I stay focused on continuing to serve this district every single day to the best of my abilities, and making sure that in election season we appropriately communicate that to all of our voters, so they know what we're about. And I think when people get to hear what we're about and they cut through the noise, they will see that they're well served in the House of Representatives by our office. And I say our office because we have an incredible team that we've put together who do an incredible job of serving this district. Yes, there's one elected representative, but we have a team of public servants who do an incredible job every single day. And I'm really proud that the 8th District has this group of people who works for them, because we've been able to achieve a lot of great things. And that's what we talk to people about. And you can't control what other people want to talk about, whether they want to mislead voters, whether they want to hide from their record or their own ethical challenges. That's what they're going to do. And in my opinion, it's not worth the time to respond to their nonsense. People in this district know the truth. They know the work. They appreciate the work. And ultimately, that'll be reflected on Election Day.
Rob, while social media has been this great invention for us for really since maybe the mid-2000s. I'm sort of dating myself here, but we first looked at MySpace, and then obviously the creation of Facebook and YouTube, and then Twitter and Instagram, and then Snapchat and TikTok. Certainly it's helped us, reach more people in a much more expeditious way. But it's also, let's be honest, it's also contribute to a lot of toxicity here. And I don't want to sound like some boomer who's disconnected, because I use social media like everybody else, but it just seems though, Rob, in this race, your opponent, I think, has weaponized social media to a levels that I haven't seen in quite some time. And the reason I say this is, you just mentioned about records, and, you have one to run on. Your opponent doesn't. Again, I can say this out loud because it's my show, but I mean, your opponent cares more about pronouns and property taxes, and it shows what's going on in Hoboken. Your opponent seems more concerned with opening a dog park. Nothing against dogs, that's fine, but flooding is still a problem. It seems like developers are running wild in the city that he is the mayor of. And, if that's the record to run on, I just don't understand how this race is even remotely close. And I know there was a poll recently put out by David Wildstein, with the editor of the New Jersey Globe, that had somehow, your opponent ahead of you. And I said, wait a minute, like, who did they poll? Stevie Wonder? Like, this is nonsense to me. Like, how can anyone who's cognitively, again, attentive, even look at your opponent and say, listen, this is why this guy is a better alternative than the incumbent right now? And it boggles my mind, though, Rob, when I see it. Again, I know you'll take the high road, and I applaud you for it. But I would just say that I've not ever seen a level of toxicity for a local race like this in quite some time.
Well, first, I'm just, because you said bit there. So let me just first say that we should all care about, pronouns and gender equality and identification policy and property taxes and federal taxes. We should care about all those things, and definitely don't personally want to diminish how important those things are for me and for so many others. But when it comes to the environment that we live in, I always just tell people, if you put down your phone and you go walk down Bergen Line, or you go walk down Central Ave, right, and you engage with people, right, and you don't do it online, you see what people's priorities are, right? And that's what we focus on. We know that people are struggling with affordability. That's why the first bill that we put out was the Working Families Task Force Act. We think about making life more affordable for every single individual and family in this district every single day. And to me, that's we've been informed by direct engagement with folks. And the sort of online battles that people want to wage is people that don't avail themselves of the opportunity to talk with their neighbors, to talk with their constituents. And that's why we know the standing that we're in. That's why we know that we've connected with individuals, because we talk about childcare, because we know how expensive that is for working families, because we know that while there's wage growth, people are still dealing with inflationary pressures. We know these things because we've talked to people, right? And we don't get bothered by a poll that was funded by a super PAC that supports Ravi. Like, we're not worried about that, because it doesn't mean anything. He has to use it because he's running out of money, because he spends it like a drunk sailor. So we're not worried. I mean, look at Hoboken. I mean, thank God they have a great council that stops him from his reckless spending. But that's what he's trying to do. He's trying to listen. He's all sleight of hand. I mean, you look at the elections that he's run in Hoboken, it's all sleight of hand. We're out here being transparent with people. Listen, we're on your show and we know that you're a conservative. I mean, we got to change your t-shirt in the back, but we're here talking to people, right? And we're not afraid to engage. And talk about the questions that you have. And I don't think there's been one question that we've turned the other way on, right? We're out here, we're transparent, and we deal directly with people. And that's what separates us. People want that in their representatives, because they don't have time to waste with all this nonsense and all this noise. Life is hard for people right now, and they need people to show up for them every single day. When you look at our track record, that's what we've done. When you look at how we're running this campaign, that's what we've done. We've shown up. We've talked about our record, how we've delivered for this district, and we're going to continue to do so. This is, I mean, an incredible opportunity. And when you get to office in your freshman term, there's no group of public servants waiting for you, right? You have to start from scratch. You have to build an office. You have to budget. You have to make all these decisions in a short amount of time. You have to get on the committees that best serve your district, which is a whole nother process we can talk about another time. You have to do all these things, and we've been able to do them at a very high level. We were elected to a freshman leadership role by our peers, right? So he's going to want to talk about me in a lot of negative ways. My peers in Congress elected me to represent them. Leadership, Catherine Clark, Steny Hoyer, chose me to be part of their operation, right? So we have done the work. And all I think to myself when people ask about re-election, all I think to myself, if we've built this foundation in a short amount of time, what can we do for this district if we're re-elected and have 2 more years to build upon this foundation? That to me is what excites me. For all the negative stuff that I have to deal with, I'm okay with it, because I get to represent the district that I grew up, that I love with every fiber of my being, and that I want to work for every single day. And we've already delivered crazy, impressive results, in my opinion. What can we do if we go back with this foundation, with this experience? Sky's the limit.
Rob, I have to ask you, I mean, since you opened the door, I might as well walk through it there. Obviously, the 8th Congressional District is a relatively reliable Democrat Party district. Whoever wins the primary coming up on June 4th, and by all metrics, it would seem it's going to be you, again, based on your record, based on your fundraising, based on your experience, the ground game, obviously. getting support from local mayors and other elected officials. But at the national level, though, Rob, I got to ask you. I mean, obviously, it wouldn't harm you per se in a district like the 8th that's reliably Democrat. But coming up this November, I mean, the president's immensely unpopular in parts of the country, even parts of New Jersey. And while New Jersey hasn't selected a Republican to win the electoral vote since 1992, I mean, that's how long it's been, since George H.W. Bush. It's been a reliably blue state for almost 30 years, if not, around that time. Are you concerned at all when you're talking to constituents, when you're knocking on doors, when you're talking at town halls or anything about, again, I mean, there are optics out there, Rob, that, Democrats can't escape nationally. Inflation's still a problem. The border is a disaster. The president is still immensely unpopular in various parts of the country. There's polling suggesting that his opponent, the 45th president, is kind of neck and neck with him. So do you see that maybe sort of trickling down and maybe harming you when it comes to turnout? Or again, to your point about, hey, you control what you can control and you're focused on that?
Yeah, listen, I think it's the reverse. I think when we go back, when the House members go back and candidates who are looking to run in these, who are running in these red to blue districts, so currently held by a Republican incumbent and Democrat looking to unseat them, we have a great story to tell. Like, listen, by no means are we out of the woods yet, right? But when you look at where we were a couple of years coming out of COVID and what sort of the economic predictions were, it was a deep, deep recession where instead of talking about historically low unemployment, we would be talking about how we're inching out of a really bad place, double-digit unemployment, and other sort of really dire economic consequences if the government had not taken action. Also, in the last Congress, we passed the bipartisan infrastructure law. So all these dollars that are going into every single district, whether they're red or blue, there is a project in every single district throughout the entire country that is being funded by the bipartisan infrastructure law, whether or not the representative that represents that district voted for it. So when we go out and tell our story in our districts, because we know our districts the best, I think we're going to connect with voters. Our message as Democrats is going to resonate. I think that helps at a statewide level. And I think we have Senate candidates and Senate incumbents who are going to have the same conversation and connect with their voters statewide. I think that's going to help the president. The president and his administration has done a lot right, a lot of things that I disagree with. But at the end of the day, when you think about where we could have been, I think we're making our way to a place that creates stability for more and more American families. And so when we tell our individual stories, tell collectively the stories of what we've done as Democrats, that'll be in stark contrast to Republicans. Let me just say this. I mean, we don't even have to talk about the presidential nominee. Look at what this House Freedom Caucus Republican majority has been a disaster for the American people. That's the truth. This has been one of the least productive Congresses because they're of the infighting within the Republican conference. People ask me, is DC broken? There are an immense amount of challenges with DC, but right now, this iteration of the Republican Party is broken and it's keeping this institution from governing in the way that it should. The more we tell that story, the more people will trust Democrats to continue to lead for this country.
Listen, I don't disagree about the infight. I mean, as a conservative, I'm outraged about why grown adults just can't get to work. I mean, I'm with you on that, Rob. I don't disagree. We'll certainly find out what the House makeup will look like in January of 2025, certainly, and obviously the Senate makeup as well. Rob, I got to ask you, obviously, another big topic in the news for some months now, obviously, as it pertains to a Senate seat in New Jersey. Representative Andy Kim, one of your peers in the House, out of the 3rd Congressional District, filed a lawsuit. Really doing, obviously, I think people will say that lawsuit helped do away with the county line. And that's something that, Republicans and Democrats alike in New Jersey for years have been arguing against, rallying against. We, up until recently, we were the only state in the country that was practicing, again, sort of that tradition of the county line. That's obviously changed for Democrats. I think it's not going to be the same for Republicans. I think when it comes to primary races and other dynamics electorally for Republicans this cycle, that's not going to be the case for Democrats. It would seem like the county line's been abolished. Many people rejoiced, both progressives, traditional liberals, centrists, whatever. When you heard of the news, obviously, of the line being abolished, what were your thoughts? And again, it almost seems like, again, for both Republicans and Democrats, though, Rob, it would seem like county chairs both men and women that occupy those roles. I think that their powers, I think, were neutralized significantly with that court decision. What were your thoughts when you heard the news, and really did that change at all your mindset about how to approach your race?
No, we've been consistent on this issue, which was that we would run under any ballot construct. We said this in 2022, and we've been consistent on it throughout. Whether there's a line, no line, whether it's a three-legged race, we're going to compete in any dynamic, any situation, because ultimately the voters decide. That's what I've always believed in. I trust the voters wholeheartedly, and the reason that we're running the campaign the way that we are, we're just talking about our track record, because that's what resonates with voters. And they want to send people back who are effective and who deliver for them. So to me, that's all that matters. And having a message to run on, which we clearly have, is why, for me, I haven't worried about this. I honestly don't spend much time thinking about it, because the voters have always decided. I know these people. I grew up with these people. I live alongside these people. They know how to distinguish the truth from noise. They know how to deliver someone who's productive and delivers results from someone who grandstands. And ultimately, that difference will decide this election and why we'll be victorious on June 4th.
Rob, when we think about endorsements, that's been a big thing during this campaign. And I know that you have garnered a lot of endorsements from unions, from elected officials. And I think that's sort of been, in my opinion, again, the fundamental difference between you and your opponent, right? I mean, your opponent gets endorsements from, the local, and again, it's my show. I don't have to take the high road here, but, local candy asses that, aren't relevant, whether it's former failed House candidates, whether it's the members of the Lollipop Guild in Hoboken on the city council. It seems like the only endorsement your opponent has gotten that's of any relevance or credibility. And again, I don't agree with him on anything, but it would seem like Councilman James Solomon is the only real credible endorsement your opponent has gotten. Does that concern you? Again, I know you look at yourself as a progressive. I look at you more as a centrist, with all due respect. I don't look at you as like sort of, the crazy woke progressives that we see in Jersey City, for example. But I mean, I would argue that that's probably one of the bigger variables in this race, right? I mean, you're getting legitimate endorsements while your opponent's getting, let's be honest, I mean, clown show endorsements from locals that don't really move the needle, Rob, other than maybe Councilman Solomon, who's a progressive hero, who's won 2 elections, against the county establishment. Did that concern you at all when you saw the councilman run to endorse your opponent?
No, and I wouldn't diminish any support that our opponents have. It matters to different folks, but we're proud of the support that we have. I mean, you go around the district, Mayor Baraka, Mayor Stack, Mayor Sacco. I mean, you go through the entire district, Mayor Bolage and Elizabeth. We have an incredible amount of support, and the fact that folks have endorsed Ravi, I think, has more to do with their animosity towards organizations like the HCDO. I have working relationships with these people. I'll continue to have working relationships with these individuals on the official side, and always deliver for their constituents, because at the end of the day, it's always people over politics. That's what I believe in. That's what we'll continue to do. But I'm thankful for the support that we have. I don't think any of our opponents have had or received any labor endorsements. I'm really thankful and proud of the ones that we have, because for 2 reasons. One is uplifting working families has been the center of what we've done in office, ensuring the right to organize, the right to collectively bargain, the right to be a part of a union is central to what we do in office, especially on the legislative side. We've done all those things, and it's clear that we have a track record because of the support that we have. So, more so than whatever support those guys might have, I'm really proud of the support that we have, and think it's a reflection of the work that we've done. And again, it just goes back to having a track record.
Rob, speaking about track record over the weekend, and I'll let you go shortly. I know you gentlemen to be on with me.
I told you I wasn't feeling well, so this is.
I apologize. Just a couple more things, and I'll get you right up. I'm sorry. Over the weekend, obviously, a very, very sort of polarizing discussion among Americans when it comes to the aid package. Obviously, not just to Ukraine, obviously to Israel. It's a very divisive time, though, Rob, especially when it comes to, it seems like certain polling is telling us that more and more Americans may not be as receptive to sending money to Ukraine. For whatever reason. Also, when it comes to Israel. And it seems like, obviously within your own party, there's a lot of division when it comes to Israel. And obviously we've seen the optics. I'll be talking more about that, during final thoughts about, sort of the visuals out there, anti-Semitism running rampant on our college campuses. Maybe there's some elements of anti-Semitism within members of Congress, both in the Senate and the House. As a Democrat like yourself, that again, it seems to me that you're just a centrist, sort of blue-collar, working-class Democrat. When you're seeing that sort of infighting as well within your own party, does that concern you at all?
No. Listen, we're a Big Ten party, and that means you're going to have people who have different thoughts on any given issue, especially one that's so critically important as this one. And people have to make the decisions that they see best for their district and their constituents. At the end of the day, I'm always proud to be a Democrat, always proud to be part of the Democratic Party, much more so than being part of the pro-Putin conference across the aisle. I mean, the idea that you don't want to support Ukraine is not you personally, but the Republican Party and so many of the folks, the majority of their conference voted against Ukraine aid is really shocking to me. We live in a challenging time globally, and I don't think we have to be upfront about that. I mean, I always wish we were appropriating and spending more money here in our country. That's for sure. But we have to ensure that we don't move towards an isolationist approach where America is not leading. These are complex issues. They're complex and hard decisions. But standing with our allies in this moment when there's foreign adversaries like China, Iran, North Korea, Russia, who are going to constantly work to undermine our position in the world and the position of our allies, that's not something we can stand for. It's at least not something that I will stand for. And so when you look at those votes, proud to stand with our allies, proud to deliver for our allies and make sure that they have the support that they need so we can collectively ensure that we live in a democratic future moving forward.
Rob, I appreciate you coming on. I know it's not been easy today. I know you're feeling a little under the weather. You've been a gentleman. I appreciate you coming on the show, being a fan of my media brand. Certainly, I want to wish you the best of luck coming up on June the 4th. Real quick, any social media handles, links for our viewers tonight if they're looking to get involved with your campaign? And I'll give you the last word tonight, Representative Menendez.
Yeah, so we're at Rob Menendez number 4 NJ. Check out the work that we're doing there. Also, visit our official site so you can see the stuff that we're doing on both sides. We have 2 separate accounts. And so, political is on one and then official side is on the other. But appreciate the opportunity to come on, and talk about the work that we're doing. We believe, as I mentioned at the beginning and throughout this program, we're about delivering for our constituents, for our neighbors, for our community members. And that's what we've been incredibly proud to do. I love this district. I love fighting for this district every single day, and being able to deliver for it, being able to walk down the street or go into a senior center and someone has an issue and saying, we'll take care of that for you. It's my favorite part of this job is being of service to the residents of the 8th Congressional District. It is an honor, and I cherish it every single day. Listen, it's hard with 2 little kids. My daughter turned 4 last week. My son's 18 months, and it's hard, and I miss them when I'm in Washington. But we have an obligation to move this country in a way forward that works for all families, works for all individuals, that makes people feel like our best days are ahead of us. And that's what we strive to do, and make sure they know every single day me and my office is working for them, delivering for them. And that's the message.
Rob, my best to your dad. Here the Uribe Gonzalez family remains obviously a big fan of your father and of you as well. My best to your wife. Again, your 2 lovely children. Get well soon, man. And again, we appreciate you coming on here. Folks, he is U.S. Representative Rob Menendez out of the 8th Congressional District here in North Jersey. Folks, our guest tonight here on Real Talk. Representative Menendez, thank you so much, and we'll talk to you again soon on the campaign trail.
All right, thanks so much.
Folks, good stuff there. With Representative Rob Menendez. And again, folks, you can decide for yourself, right? And I've talked about it on the show. There seems to be a lot of vitriol against Rob. Certainly, his last name has brought him some grief, obviously, and unfairly, I would say. Listen, this is a guy who's gone to Washington, who's done the work, who has rolled up his sleeves. Again, as I said before, and it's not like I'm parading out here with pom-poms as a cheerleader. I'm not, folks. I'm speaking the truth here. These are facts. This is not subjective. This is not like, oh, this is Fernando bias. No, folks, these are facts. Okay? The representative just outlined exactly the federal dollars brought back to the district, okay, during his time since being elected. Okay? Now, again, you don't have to like him. You can go along with the nonsense narrative of like, well, the sins of the father are cast upon the son, or however the the phrase goes, folks, that's not being intellectually honest here. And on this show, again, I can't speak for other journalists in New Jersey that do what I do or attempt to do what I do because they don't do what I do as well as I do. But here on this show, well, we are intellectually honest and philosophically consistent, okay? We have to acknowledge that Ron Menendez has done the work. That Ron Menendez has gone to Washington, D.C. under some duress, under some challenging circumstances, obviously, right, coming out of COVID, as we mentioned, right? And by the same token, has gotten results for the district. Now, I've talked about his opponent at length, but again, it bears repeating here. Okay, his opponent is basically just running on, well, Rob is bad because his dad is bad. That's all his opponent has to run on. That's it. That is the bread and butter of Robin Durbala. Okay? Which, again, doesn't seem like much of a campaign strategy to me. So as he's going out there asking for dollars from doctors, business people, whoever it is, he's hitting up for money. At some point, folks, that well's going to dry up. And as I mentioned before, again, what's the record that Robbie Ball is going to run on? Again, he cares more about pronouns than property taxes, which is true, right? And for all you Hoboken residents, obviously, you'll be seeing, quite possibly a property tax increase. Not to mention a Board of Education increase, which seems crazy, right? Seems like Robbie Ball is more concerned with, opening another park instead of addressing flooding in downtown Hoboken or all of Hoboken, right? It would seem that his minions, the Lollipop Guild, we all know who they are, folks. Okay. Joe Quintero, who, again, is a reminder to us all that must be pretty easy to get a law degree if Joe Quintero has one. A guy who I wouldn't even trust to represent me in traffic court, all right, on a moving violation, okay? Much less trust anything he has to say as the new chair of the Hoboken Democratic Committee. Folks, as if we couldn't do any worse than Emily Hodes, the previous chair, obviously, hey, sink a little lower. Or the rest of the Lollipop Guild in Hoboken that enables Ravi, right? Right? The wannabe dance instructors there, Emily Jabor and Phil Cohen, right? The clown show in Hoboken, right? As I mentioned earlier. Or the other people that endorse Ravi, right? We all know who they are. Chiquitín, candy asses like Hector Segura, campesinos like David Ocampo Grajales, right? All these sort of progressive woke locals that somehow think Ravi is a progressive hero. Again, folks, let's remember, because I got the receipts on the show, Ravi isn't this progressive hero you think he is. Because if he was, he wouldn't have kicked out a good, hardworking Latina off of the assembly ticket in Hoboken, again, Annette Chaparro, to make sure that one of his buddies, the chief of staff of Hoboken, again, let's get rid of a Latina and replace her with a white guy. Yeah, that's progressive. Yeah. So, folks, the next time the Hector Segura, all 5'2" of them, right? When his candy ass is knocking on doors in Union City or Hoboken, remind him about that. If Robbie's so progressive, why would you get rid of a Latina to replace her with a white guy in the state assembly? Right? Next time you run into David Ocampo Grajales, next time you see that campesino knocking on doors, ask him, how progressive Robbie is when, again, he's kicking out a Latina and replacing her with a white guy in the state assembly. Remind him. Ask him. Right? Well, again, the Lollipop Guild in Hoboken, who thankfully, again, are being neutered by hardworking council people like Mike Russo, Paul Presenzano, Tiffany Fisher, Ruben Ramos, Jen Giattino. Thank God for them, because otherwise we would just have the Lollipop Guild running amok and running wild like a bunch of 18-year-olds that just moved away to college and said, oh, wow, there's no parental supervision anymore. Oh, wow, look, there's I can go get laid now. Oh, there's free alcohol. There's free weed. Yeah, folks, that's the level of sort of like pandemonium we would have in Hoboken if it wasn't for people, like I just mentioned, trying to keep the lollipop guild in check. But again, these are the people enabling and supporting Ravi Bala, folks. So as June 4th is just a few weeks away, again, for those of you in the 8th Congressional District, think long and hard before you pull that lever, and think for a moment if Ravinder is even remotely a good candidate. We all know he isn't. I have outlined that on this show repeatedly. I got the receipts because everything I'm saying is true. I haven't lied. I don't lie on this show, folks. Again, I'm a journalist. Okay, I can't speak about the propagandists masquerading as journalists in New Jersey. I can't speak for them. We all know the guilty sites, right? Insider NJ, NJ Spotlight News, Politico, New Jersey, the New Jersey Monitor, NorthJersey.com, the Star Ledger, NJ.com. Again, all these websites, what they try to do is, and they do it quite well, is just engage in propaganda. Not on this show. Here, I'm here to tell you the truth. As uncomfortable as it is, I'm here to tell you the truth. And the truth is that Ravi Bala is a bad candidate. He just is. And again, if you can just take out your bias for whatever reason, hey, maybe you don't like Rob because maybe he represents the establishment, or Rob represents this or that. Folks, again, put bias aside. Stop being emotional. It's time to be objective. Again, you're all adults, right? Be objective. Okay? Ron Menendez has done the work. Ron Menendez has gone to Washington. He's sat on committees. He's been able to get federal dollars back to the 8th Congressional District. Folks, I have it on good information. You go up to Ravi Bala at one of his rallies or one of his meet and greets. You ask him a policy question. He's like, duh. That's Ravi Bala having to answer a policy question. It must be contagious, right? Because I know Emily Jabor is same thing. Phil Cohen, Joe Quintero, like, again, folks, it's contagious in Hoboken. I don't know if it's the water. I don't know if it's maybe, who knows? Who knows what makes stupidity so contagious in Hoboken or makes people that disconnected? But folks, that's the level of disconnect that you're seeing in Hoboken by even supporting Ravinder Bala. Okay, now again, it's a very diverse district. We have the city of Elizabeth. We have parts of Newark. We have West New York, Union City, parts of Jersey City, parts of Kearny, if I'm not mistaken, parts of Bayonne, North Bergen, Guttenberg, okay, Weehawken. It's a very diverse district. And we're going to find out a lot on June the 4th, folks. But I promise you, and this is not a prediction, it's a spoiler. Ravinder Bala isn't as well liked as he thinks he is. He's not even as well liked in his own city that he's the mayor of. And we're going to find that out on June 4th. I'm counting the days, folks. Not just for June 4th. I'm counting down for the debates, not just with the New Jersey Globe. If I'm not mistaken here, let me just look at the calendar here. Right? On Sunday, May 5th, hosted by my good friend, the editor of the New Jersey Globe, David Wasting. I'm also looking forward to Tuesday night, May 28th. When Representative Menendez will also take on Ravinder Bala at the Hudson County View debate, hosted at the Hudson Media Group Studios. Again, shout out to fellow Rutgers alum and member of the Pinnacle, and of course, the editor of the Hudson County View himself, John R. Highness, for taking on that task, which I think will be very entertaining, folks. I can't wait for those two debates. Because when it comes to policy, when it comes to getting work done, Rob has shown that he's done that. But when it comes to grandstanding, window dressing, and just virtue saying, yeah, folks, Ravi Bala is as good as anybody. It's also a product of the company you keep, as I mentioned before. Candy asses, failed congressional candidates, the Lollipop Guild in Hoboken, and any of these progressive and woke locals, all these fools that, quite frankly, folks, you ask them a policy question, they can't answer it. They'll tell you Rob is bad, but they can't tell you why. All they can do is just regurgitate the same nonsense that Ravi Bala regurgitates to all of us every single day. Definitely a race you want to keep sort of note of and track as we approach June the 4th. Folks, before we call it a night, it's time for final thoughts. And let's stay in Hoboken here. I sort of want to talk about a story that came to my attention. And shout out to fellow journalist Terry West from the Jersey Journal, talking about a controversy, as you can see there, the screenshot, has erupted over a Hoboken Fest headliner's pro-Palestinian politics. Okay? Again, shout out to Terry West for this good story. You can look it up online, folks. I actually mentioned it on my Twitter, so check it out there at The Amazing Uribe. Hoboken pulled a contract to hire a local DJ with South Asian roots from the city council agenda just hours before this past Wednesday's meeting, after council members discovered the artist pro-Palestinian politics. Mayor Ravi Balla's administration has tapped DJ Rekha to headline its Spring and Arts Music Festival on May the 19th. Coincidentally, my birthday weekend. I was like walking around the Hoboken Arts and Crafts Festival. Obviously, as you can see there, folks, I'll rock one of those shirts there over the weekend. Maybe not that shirt, but I'll rock one of my wonderful Biden Sucks t-shirts because they get so much attention. And quite frankly, I think everyone really applauds it. But more on that later. But at least one council member said that they plan to vote against the contract after seeing that the artist has created a playlist featuring Palestinian artists, which was titled River to the Sea, the letter C. Multiple other council members had said that they still plan to support the contract, but it was unclear if it would have broad enough support to pass. Right? Now, the contract will be pulled according to address concerns related to the administration, according to city spokeswoman Marilyn Bear. Councilwoman Tiffany Fisher, rightfully so, said that she considers, quote, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free to be anti-Semitic, which it is. That's not biased. That's not subjective. That's true. That's fact. A sentiment that many Congress people shared this week when passing a resolution deeming the statement to be anti-Semitic. Okay? So pro-Israel voices have widely interpreted that chant as a call to eliminate the Jewish state of Israel, which is true. That's what that song represents. So pro-Palestinian voices often see it as a call for freedom, which it's not. We all know it's not. And equality for a people that have been marginalized and killed in their homeland. So DJ Rekha, whose Punjabi sounds layered with hip-hop and dance hall rhythms, sustained, for example, the 20-year calendar of basement Bhangra parties at SOBs in Lower Manhattan. By the way, SOB is a great, great venue. I've actually gone there over the years. Not for this, because this kind of music doesn't interest me. Would break a year-long streak of rock headliners at the festival. Now, the artist has long been outspoken about issues since forming early connections in South Asian diaspora artists and activist groups. The dance parties they foster are considered safe spaces for members of marginalized cultures, religions, and sexualities, including for Muslim and Sikh New Yorkers in the aftermath of 9/11 back in 2001. During the early 2000s, they distributed flyers for Basement Bhangra that were explicitly anti-President George W. Bush. Okay. Prior to the agenda item being pulled, Councilman Phil Cohen, Uncle Phil, when he's awake, right, said he planned to vote in favor of the contract. It strikes me that the city should not be incurring controversy for censoring artists' political views, even if those political views may not be popular ones. Wow. Okay. Some council members also opposed the $20,000 contract for reasons besides the Israeli conflict. And I love Councilman Ruben Ramos with this line. $20,000 for a DJ not named Steve Aoki seems a bit much. Yes, folks. I mean, let's be honest. $20,000 for a woman that you couldn't pick out of a lineup, okay, seems pretty far-fetched. Right? Now, for those of you that aren't aware, the Hoboken Arts and Crafts Music Festival shuts down much of Washington Street twice a year during early May and then, of course, in early October, welcoming tens of thousands of people to enjoy live music and artist vendors. Okay? Folks, let me tell you the truth about DJ Rekha. Okay? And I'm going to challenge the assertion by some former elected officials in Hoboken, some current elected officials in Hoboken, and all the woke progressive activists that continue to be insufferable online. Okay? DJ Rekha, again, is symptomatic of a bigger problem that exists. And I applaud the council pulling that contract. Number one, she's not worth $20, much less $20,000. Okay? For a no-name DJ to come to the Hoboken Arts and Music Festival And let's be honest, folks, all she's going to bring is a world of trouble. And by the way, this is not me being sexist because she's a female or because she's a brown person or because, she obviously, as we all know, sides with people that are blocking roads to airports, that are being a nuisance in front of city halls everywhere around the country, even locally in Hoboken. Okay. That are demonstrating on college campuses. Again, folks, these jihadists, because that's what they are, these jihadists are toxic. And why would we even want to embrace a woman who, again, folks, look at her social media, look at what she stands for, okay? She is someone who clearly sides with these people, okay? And other woke causes, like Black Lives Matter, or as I like to call it, BLM, by large mansion, because that's all the leadership at Black Lives Matter have been doing since they started, right? But again, this is a woman who's proud to be pro-Palestinian. Folks, the last thing we need at a family-friendly oriented event like the Hoboken Arts and Craft Music Festival is to have a toxic woman like this there, okay? All she's going to bring is trouble. And again, let's be very clear, because it would seem that former elected officials in Hoboken or current elected officials or the local woke fools and all these progressive, demonstrators and all the social justice clowns, we all know, folks, who they are. I don't have to name them, okay? I want to keep this show longer than I have to, okay? But we all know what they stand for. We all know whose side they're on, okay? We all know what DJ Rekha stands for and what DJ Rekha represents and who she'll gladly stand by. Okay, folks. As you can see, again, folks, as you can see behind me there, it's an interesting picture. If you want to screenshot it and zoom in, you're more than happy to. I'm going to tell you why this picture is so significant. Because it's what's happening on college campuses all across this country. And this is stuff that we all know DJ Rekha's in favor of. Okay? Because when you're pro-Palestinian, when you are this embedded in enabling jihadists on American soil to espouse the rhetoric that they give off, folks, I'm going to tell you why this picture is so significant. As you can see there's a black and white picture on the left. Folks, the year is 1938. And that picture are Nazis blocking Jewish students from entering Vienna University. I'm going to say it again. The year is 1938. There are Nazis blocking Jewish students from entering Vienna University in Austria. Okay? Picture on the right, it's the year 2024. Pro-Palestinian activists are blocking Jewish students from entering Columbia University. Now, to say nothing of the fact that Columbia University has been a haven and a hotbed for anti-Semitism forever. Let's be honest. This is the same university that invited former Iranian President Ahmadinejad, who was called for the annihilation of Israel, and he was happily invited to speak on the campus of Columbia University. Okay. Columbia University, which again, folks, let's be honest, we all know that for anyone who's an Ivy Leaguer or anyone who knows about Columbia, I mean, again, it's sort of like that safety school where if you can't get into Princeton, Yale, Harvard, Cornell, well, they'll take you at Columbia. Everyone knows this. It's no secret. Okay? I'm just telling you the truth. See, folks, I tell you the uncomfortable things out loud because you need to hear them. But again, this is where we're at right now in 2024. In 1938, we had Nazis, okay, on the steps of Vienna University, stopping Jewish students from entering the campus. And in 2024, we're seeing these exact same Nazis, because that's what they are, these jihadists, stopping Jewish students from entering buildings at Columbia University. Now, you might say, Fernando, you're just being hyperbolic. Oh, am I? Really? So these people aren't jihadists? These people aren't enabling jihadist mentalities and behaviors? Blocking roads to airports at JFK Airport? Blocking entrances to the Brooklyn Bridge where people just want to go home to their kids or go to work or see their families or go see a loved one or just to make sure that ambulances can get to their destinations and make sure that they're getting to hospitals, to make sure that police cars are being able to go and attend to the quality of life in our cities. Okay? Don't tell that to these jihadists. Of course, they don't want to hear that. Because they'd rather virtue signal and tell you how evil Israel is. Folks, it's precisely this language and these optics as to why denying DJ Rekha that contract and making sure that she can't perform or DJ for whatever it is, whatever the set is, 75 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever it is. Because the last thing we need at a family-friendly event is someone as toxic and polarizing as DJ Rekha. Because that's what she is. When you embrace this sort of, oh, Jesus Christ. I know, folks, my apologies. I won't keep her on the screen any more than I have to. I apologize. Okay? So it's not about censoring art. Folks, this isn't art. This is about a well, if you call her a musician, that openly is hostile to Jewish people, that's openly hostile to Israel. That's what she represents. It says so in her music. It says so with her beliefs. So instead of, hey, let's make sure we don't censor art because that's sort of the outcry. No, folks, we're not censoring art. Okay? Fools like Phil Cohen and the others that want to make this about, it's not about censoring art. It's about trying to stop a potential problem before it begins. Just imagine for a moment, you decide, Hoboken City Council, to approve that contract. And you have some demonstrators coming from across the river or from parts of New Jersey to go protest against her. So what initially was a family-friendly environment now becomes a little toxic. Now you're putting the stress and burden on the Hoboken Police Department, right? To have to monitor this event. Where again, of course, there's Hoboken police officers walking through the festival, and rightfully so. We want to make sure that it remains safe and family-friendly. What are you telling people by inviting someone like this? Because you know, okay, that there's going to be demonstrators against her, and there's probably going to be pro-Palestinian demonstrators for her there. All right? You know, the usual jihadists that, again, encourage this behavior. Blatant anti-Semitism on our college campuses. Demonstrating for the City Hall in Hoboken. We all know the types. And then, of course, if God forbid something happens in what was supposed to be a family-friendly event, the usual idiots on HuffPost, Hoboken Weekend will take videos and upload them, and they'll be the first one to say, oh, look at the police. Look what they're doing. Police are bad. That's what would happen, folks. So let's avoid all that stuff. Let's wipe our hands of this and make sure we don't invite toxic people like DJ Rekha to begin with. Again, folks, it's not about censoring art. No one's censoring anything. What we're doing is preventing a problem before it begins. And when you want to invite potentially problematic and toxic women like DJ Rekha to what is supposed to be a family-friendly event, that's how you're being proactive. And again, as I mentioned before, folks, I'm not imagining this. We saw it over the weekend. Do you need a reminder of what's going on at Columbia University? You think I'm imagining it, folks? You think I'm just concocting some made-up? No, folks. This happened over the weekend in New York City, on the campus of Columbia University. It's been happening in New York City for months now. Okay? We're seeing jihadists mobilizing, being insufferable, being a nuisance, and being toxic. Okay, that's what's happening. Oh, you think I'm making it up? Let me give you another example. Just over the weekend, on the campus of Columbia University.
Is the university keeping the media out? This is the COO of the university. Are we not letting the media in? What? Can you back up, please? My card has been deactivated? Why? Can you back up, please? Wait. Everybody, my card has been deactivated. This is Cass Holloway, the COO. This is Gerald Lewis. They were in the meeting where I asked them if Hamas is a terror organization, and they couldn't say that it is a terrorist organization. Why? I'm a professor. Why can't I?
Shai,
No. Speak out loud so the media
Shai,
can hear.
we are willing to take you to the math lawn.
No, I am a professor here.
Alumnus. We have a
Whoa, everybody quiet. I am a professor here. I have every right to be everywhere on campus. You cannot let people that support Hamas on campus and me, a professor, not go on campus. Let me in now.
Let us in!
No.
Let Shai in!
Are you not letting a professor go on campus?
Let him in! Let him in!
And you know that.
Let Shai in!
I am. No, you're gonna let me. No, you're gonna let me everywhere. You're gonna let me in any public space on campus, and you know this. If you are not allowed there, then you say that you're not allowed there. I am allowed there. And wait, no, listen to me now. You will listen to me. I rarely listen. I rarely lose my. You know what? I wish you'd let me into my job. No, everybody, please. Can I stand here so people will see me? Is that okay, or you're not letting me do it?
This is a disgrace to the institution and the alumnus.
Everybody silence! Everybody! Over here we got the COO of Columbia University, Mr. Cass Holloway. Wait, no! They have deactivated my card. They are not letting me on campus because...
Shame on you!
I have not just a civil right as a Jewish person to be on campus. I have a right as a professor employed by the university to be on campus. They deactivated my card. These are 5 lawsuits happening, but we don't want to sue. We just want to be Jewish in public. Let us in.
Folks, again, that's what's happening on our college campuses. Not just across the river in Columbia, but across the country. Imagine being Jewish and not feeling safe to go to campus. Imagine being accepted to Columbia University, paying almost $100,000 a year, whether it's undergrad or graduate tuition, to attend a university where jihadists have taken it over, where jihadists are openly out there on college campuses being disruptive, being noisy, in some cases destroying public and private property. Okay? This is what we're living in, folks. And this is the behavior that far left zealots, all the progressives, all the woke fools, all the social justice clowns, we all know who they are, folks, locally, right? We all know who they are. Whether it's like garbage organizations like Progressive Democrats of Hudson County or Progressive Democrats of New Jersey or the Democratic Socialists of New Jersey, right? Or all the candy asses. We all know who the candy asses are. All the slap nuts. We all know who they are that endorse this stuff, right? They'll gladly sit by and endorse jihadists on our college campuses, in our streets, demonstrating, looting, rioting. I've seen that before, huh? Like 2020, right? Yeah. Remember BLM marches? People as they were demonstrating for a career criminal like George Floyd and destroying public property, right? Yeah. Remember that? Okay. Just change the acronym, folks. Just change the colors in terms of flags and change the colors of symbols and bandanas you're wearing. It's the same thing. That's what's happening. So again, it's not about censoring art when it comes to DJ Rekha or others that embrace pro-Palestinian views. It's about making sure that we don't create any problems in a family-friendly atmosphere, which is what the Hoboken arts and crafts festival is supposed to be. Get a local cover band, get another local DJ. Folks, I know plenty of DJs. They play my charity events all the time. They're not asking for $20,000. This woman's not even worth $20. But somehow, some people thought that she was. Thankfully, common sense prevailed on the city council. Obviously, not the common sense that we would think, because obviously we know when it comes to the Lollipop Guild, common sense is always absent there. But folks, on this show and also on Jersey First, it's important now more than ever to remember Fernando Uribe. I'm proud to stand with Israel. And let's be honest, folks, you should be proud to stand with them too. Now more than ever, where anti-Semitism is basically on steroids on our college campuses, on social media, in our streets. Folks, now more than ever, we need to stand with Israel. Not the far left, not all these jihadist enablers, which is what they are. Stand with Israel, folks. If you want to stand for something, stand with Israel. It's the right thing to do. And those are my final thoughts. Folks, before we call it a night, I do want to remind everybody this Friday night coming up, April the 26th, at the world-famous Lolitas, located at 8809 River Road in North Bergen, New Jersey. I'll be hosting the 24th edition of Memories Matter to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. Joining me at the door, and again, by the way, folks, we are asking for a $20 suggested donation at the door to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. Joining me are my incredible co-hosts, Vladimir Carrero, Emily Amato, Jacqueline Rodriguez, and Yunoli Guerrero. We'll greet you, obviously, as you arrive. There'll be valet parking available, folks. Obviously, it's near Edgewater, so there's nearby parking as well if you don't want to valet it. Okay, there'll be obviously a 50-50, raffles, great prizes from local businesses, which include 48th Street Jiu-Jitsu, Blue on the Hudson, La Sorrentina, River Palm Terrace, okay, as well as other great local businesses that'll be donating gift cards for the raffle themselves, without question. A lot of great local businesses supporting. We appreciate them, of course, folks. Hey, great music by DJ Ziggy Roman. Again, folks, you want to hire somebody for the Hoboken Arts and Crafts Festival, hire DJ Ziggy Roman. I guarantee you, he's not going to be charging $20,000, and his music is considerably better than any of the trash that DJ Record provides on any of her playlists. Okay? You can always rely on the outstanding menu brought to you by Lolitas. Again, food and drinks are amazing there. Folks, come by. Festivities begin at 7 p.m. and we'll be partying until 2 a.m., ladies and gentlemen, to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. Please check out their website, www.alznj.org. Of course, all proceeds from this Friday night benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. And together, ladies and gentlemen, we can defeat Alzheimer's once and for all. So I'll see you this Friday night, April the 26th, for Memories Matter 2024 to once again benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. Folks, I want to thank U.S. Representative Rob Menendez out of the 8th Congressional District for a great conversation today. Stand-up guy, obviously a big fan of the show, and certainly a guy who's done the work in Washington, D.C., in the House of Representatives, and I know he's looking forward to primary day coming up on June the 4th. Folks, always check us out on social media. Make sure you like us on Facebook. Of course, follow us on Instagram and Twitter. And for all you YouTube subscribers, click the subscribe button. You'll be automatically notified of all the amazing content brought to you by Jersey First TV. And of course, whether you get your podcast on Spotify or SoundCloud, download it and take Jersey First with you anywhere at any time. Folks, I cannot say enough about how proud I am to be on the dream team of Garden State Media. That's right, folks. It's Jersey First TV. Brand new episodes of The Nader Narrative premiere every Thursday via jerseyfirst.org/TV, of course, and also all the aforementioned social media platforms, and brand new episodes of Bridging the Gap hosted by AJ Malillo and Sima Rimbolo also premiere every Thursday, and brand new episodes live every Monday night broadcast. Check your local listings of Real Talk with Fernando Uribe premiere every Monday night. Folks, I cannot say it enough. Whether it's unbiased, unfiltered, or unafraid, it's always Real Talk right here with Jersey First TV. I am New Jersey's premier award-winning journalist. I know that's hard for some people to accept. And, after looking at some data, right, there's over 100,000 flavors available to mankind. It just seems like a lot of you just prefer to just stay salty with all the versatility and flavors out there. Some of you just would rather remain salty, and that's a shame. But, of course, again, I'll continue to be the premier award-winning journalist in New Jersey, and of course, the weapon of mass disruption in Garden State media, because my level of honesty, now more than ever, is truly necessary in this era of journalistic deception. Certainly a top 50 Latino, as voted on by the Latino Spirit Online magazine, along with the United States Latino Affairs Initiative. Folks, that's right. It's me, Fernando Uribe. Thank you so much for watching. Folks, again, I'll see you all this Friday night, April 26th, for Memories Matter 2024 to benefit Alzheimer's New Jersey. Folks, again, sharing is caring. Click that share button and let everyone know how much you enjoy Real Talk with Fernando Uribe right here via Jersey First TV. Folks, enjoy the rest of your week. Please party responsibly, and thanks for stopping by.